So that's what we have offered. I wanted to share with you, I'm in touch with colleagues at other campuses. These are some other variations you can do. We are doing a veterans experience course, but there's other ways you can get at this issue, and it might be useful on your campus to pull together people from the writing department and the history department and some of these other departments, because you can add flavors of this to other types of courses. So for example, on our campus we have a creative writing course that's specifically designed for veterans and their family members to come and do creative writing to process the military experience. So I love that that was opened to family members. It was really great. History courses, I've seen a history course which is like the veteran through history, and actually looks at veterans as they came back from each of the major wars and what happened in our culture and what happened in our society. And of course, it needs to go up through current time to be relevant for students, but I think that's another great way to get at it, and that's a course that's open to all students. This entrepreneurship boot camp for veterans is amazing. It's an online program that's partnered with 5 or 6 campuses, and there's a link to it on the site. Any student can take it from any campus, but it's really well designed, and I think it's a really great way for veterans to figure out how they can utilize their strengths to move themselves forward in their careers and with their business practices and things. And if your campus doesn't have something like this might be a great referral for your students. I thought it was a really empowering program. Certainly internships courses. I've seen a lot of campuses that have internships specifically for veterans and helps them use their military experience to reform their resume and get local jobs and start building their resume and getting their career set up while in college. And then there's a lot of campuses, again, when I was just doing my search, who have courses that are specific to working with veterans. So like nurses programs that have a specific course for understanding the medical needs of veterans, counseling courses. So again, that's a variation, but think broadly about how your campus can think about how to serve the veterans population. Any of your majors that might be touching that population should have courses in it now to prepare those professionals to work with this population, right? So thinking broadly about what your options are. Resources that I have, and I'm now going to hand these out. So this presentation I recorded, and it'll be on the website. So you've got the PowerPoint. The last page of this handout has the references for all the resources we found really helpful. So the top section says resources for campus professionals. There's a few documents out there that I think are amazing. For example, From Soldier to Student 2, produced by the American Council on Education, a must-read if you have not read it already. Helping Returning Veterans Transition to College. I've got the links for all of these on the website that's on the top of the page, so you can just go and most of them are PDFs and free, so you can just download them. Then you've got the readings that we use in our course. So these are the readings that we encourage students to read, the articles that we found over time that really work. And eventually when you pull up the syllabus, you'll see which weeks they go with. And then this last year we had, as part of one of the course topics, the students had to go to the library and they learned how to do research at our library. And one of the things they had to find was an article that was relevant to the veterans' experience. And some of them then said, well, you really need to have this article be part of the reader in the future. So we had this new section where students brought readings to the group, and we found that those created really awesome discussions for the students. And then there's a lot of really wonderful websites out there. Some of them are tied to the Veterans Administration. There's a really wonderful, the Integrative Health and Wellness for Military. It's coming from the Center of Excellence, which is a military site, but they've got some of their top psychologists who've been doing all this amazing research on brain injury and depression. And they are bringing this whole integrative wellness focus, positive psychology practices. They're teaching meditation and yoga to veterans because the research shows that it works. It's a great coping. So finally, those kind of resources are now online from the military lens. Depends on which lens your students are comfortable with. Sometimes I bring it out as a military lens and sometimes I don't, depending on what's the dynamic of the classroom. But you have so many resources available to you. Other wonderful thing, the Wounded Warrior Project. This is for students that have severe physical disabilities, and my dad actually participates in this, and it's amazing. It's usually localized in a community, but you have people come together to teach these young men and women something really wonderful. In my case, my dad lives in Montana. He teaches them fly fishing. And all the best guides of the area get together. They rent this amazing ranch in the mountains, and Some of these people are quadruple amputees, like they have severe physical injuries. I'm getting chills thinking about this. All the top brands in fly fishing donate every piece of equipment. They get a full fly rod, everything you can imagine, and then they take them out 4 days and teach them how to fish. And they adapt to whatever disability that they have. And these people go away with a whole new sense of themselves. They have a new passion. Fly fishing is not the only thing that's taught. Wounded Warrior projects are all over the country teaching different things. But look into it. There's one near your campus, and there's a cool connection there to make because it's a resource that your students may not know about. There may be a way for them to participate as a panelist or even go on the trip. But there's just a lot of neat stuff out there. Also, the Veterans History Project and Veterans Portrait Project. People are able to submit their own video story about their experience, and it's being collected in these archives. So there's really neat ways to turn some of these things into assignments or talking points in your class. So really explore this. And then at the very bottom, again, on the website, there's links, but there's a lot of really great videos, both about veterans' experience, such as news stories, but then there's documentaries and films that can be good assignments or places to create an assignment around. So I've collected all those things for you. All the links live online, but the pages just got too long if I put in all the links, so I was trying to save a little bit of paper. Couple other things I want to tell you about our campus. We have a veterans resource team on our campus, and this is a cross-functional team that we pull together that has people from academics, student services, housing, all coming together to make sure that we're working as a team to support and solve any issues that veterans face. So this is our description. These are all the collaborating offices. So there's at least an assigned person from each of these offices that says, I'm the veterans point person. They serve on this committee. We meet periodically to have conversations. And many of them then are the guest speakers in the course. So we've got this working committee. We have some subcommittees where we're going out and doing trainings for faculty and staff now that we have a better sense of what veterans need. We're getting that message out to our own campus. I cannot tell you how insensitive some of your colleagues are being on your campus. It was certainly true on ours. And sharing some tips and practices can be really useful. Certainly getting together some marketing materials. We now have brochures that we can give all the students that say, here are your services, here's where you access things, putting together websites. And then we have a mentoring project now where faculty and staff have come forward and say they want to mentor, and even advanced students saying they want to mentor incoming veterans. Here are the services we now, oops, I lost my heading. What happened? Okay, well this is services we offer. So we give enhanced assistance for dealing with all the documentation. Veterans on our campus get priority registration, so they're guaranteed the classes that they need. They get priority housing selection with undergraduates, but we offer veterans the option to live in graduate student housing if they want to, even though they're an undergraduate. And that has been really wonderful because so many of them are married or have children, and that gives them access to housing that's more in line with how they're living. Counseling with experienced therapists, we invested money in sending some of our counselors to get the latest training on techniques for PTSD and brain injury and all that. So some of these things are choices that your campus needs to make. Some of your professionals need to get some new training in order to meet this population's needs. We have the Student Veterans course. We do a lot of active outreach. We start with Spring Insight, our big preview day, and it goes all the way through orientation and fall starting. We give credit for military training. We actually have found a way to offer academic credit so students get that as part of their transfer work. We've gotten some survey money so that we can do surveys on our populations, and then we also have some secured funding in order to support the Student Veterans Organization activities, because we've also found that as cool as we are, they'd rather hang out with other students. So we make sure our SVO has a lot of resources so they can have barbecues and movie nights and that kind of thing so that they can create a community amongst themselves. And added to this list now is that lounge space we found for students on our campus. It can be a small room, right? It just needs a couple couches in it and a couple things for them, but it gives them that safe space to gather on campus. So things that I'd want to just encourage you to think about is when you go back is to assess your campus. Some of you already have some well-developed programs and you're here because you want to just pick up a few tips. Some of you are starting this process. But some questions to ask yourself is, what's your population? You need to know who's on your campus. What branch are they? What's their military background? What's their combat background? What issues are they coming in with? Because you want to customize for who you're seeing. Can you create a veteran success course? We took something that we were already offering and made it a flavor of that. You could propose a whole new course. The other thing that I would suggest is we all know that launching a new course can sometimes be a year and a half, getting through the system. Sometimes you just offer this as a free seminar series with pizza, right? You do the course with no credit and they'll come. because they want this kind of support. Do you have a coordinated veterans team? What kind of services are you offering? And what would you recommend to your campus? And in fact, this group is now offering awards for the top military-friendly campuses. So I've got a link to that on the site as well, so you can check that out. And then if you want to just keep humbled, this is a quote from one of our students. As tough as school was, Iraq was harder. And so always remember that. We're here to help them succeed in college, but no matter what we do, it pales in comparison to what they've been through. So you want to just connect with them on, look, I know that this is not what you've been through, but let's talk to you about how we can make you as successful in this environment, because this is part of moving forward and achieving the career that you're looking for. That's my focus. I know some of you are already doing some things on your campus. I wanted to leave a few minutes for people to share what's working on your campus or other questions you might have.